I was sitting in my car outside the office, hands gripping my phone like it was the only solid thing left in my world. The voice on the other end was cold, steady, almost mechanical. Her name was Jessica. She said, "Your wife Sarah is sleeping with my husband Derek. I have proof. Want to make them pay." My chest tightened. Sarah had left me 2 days ago saying she needed space. But space was not what she needed. She needed him. And this stranger, this woman I had never met, was offering me something I did not even know I wanted a chance to fight back. I thought I had lost everything. But maybe, just maybe, I was about to take it all back. Before I tell you how we made them regret every lie they told, I want to know where you are watching from. Drop your city in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe, because you will not believe what happened when we showed up at their door with divorce lawyers and evidence they never saw coming. Now let me take you back to where it all started. My name is Baldwin. 5 years ago, I married Sarah at a small ceremony in Portland, Oregon. We met at a software company where I worked as a senior engineer, and she was climbing the ranks in marketing. We bought a house in the suburbs, the kind with a front porch and a backyard we planned to fill with kids someday. I worked long hours building code and building a future. Sarah worked late too, or so she said. She told me about big projects demanding clients' late meetings. I believed her. Why would I not? She was my wife. Trust was the foundation we built our lives on. But foundations crack when you are not paying attention. Looking back, I see the signs. Sarah stopped asking about my day. She stopped laughing at my jokes. She was always on her phone, texting someone, smiling at the screen in a way she had not smiled at me in months. When I asked who she was talking to, she said, "It was work. Always work." I told myself she was stressed. I told myself I needed to be more supportive. I told myself a lot of things that were not true. 2 weeks before Jessica, called Sarah, came home late on a Tuesday night. I had made dinner, set the table, tried to create a moment for us to reconnect. She walked in, dropped her bag by the door, and sat down across from me. Her face was blank, like she had already made a decision and was just going through the motions of telling me. "Baldwin, I need space," she said. "This marriage is not working for me anymore." I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. "What do you mean? What is not working? Talk to me. We can fix this." She shook her head. "I have changed. You have not. We want different things." I asked her what things. She could not give me an answer. She just said she needed time to figure herself out. I begged her to stay, to give us a chance to work through whatever was wrong. She looked at me like I was a stranger. That night she packed 2 suitcases and walked out the door. I stood in the hallway, watching her taillights disappear down the street, and I had no idea what had just happened. The next 2 weeks were hell. I could not eat. I could not sleep. I went to work, but could not focus. My friend Marcus noticed. He pulled me aside one day and said, "Bro, women do not just leave like that without a reason. You need to dig deeper." I told him Sarah just needed space. He gave me a look that said he knew better. "Spaceman, I think there is someone else." I refused to believe it. Sarah would not do that. She loved me. Or at least I thought she did. I called her every day. She did not answer. I sent texts, apologizing for things I was not even sure I had done wrong. She replied with short, cold messages. "I need time. Please respect that." I felt like I was going insane. I sat in our empty house, surrounded by photos of us, smiling on vacations, at weddings, on our honeymoon. I kept asking myself what I had done to drive her away. I thought, if I just gave her space, she would come back. I was wrong. Then on a Thursday evening, my phone rang. I was sitting in my car in the parking lot at work, too tired to drive home to an empty house. The number was unfamiliar. I almost did not answer. But something made me pick up. "Is this Baldwin, Sarah's husband?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes," I said. "Who is this?" She paused, then said, "My name is Jessica. My husband is Derek Hamilton. I think you need to know something." Jessica told me she had discovered Derek was having an affair when she checked their shared credit card statement. hotels, expensive dinners, gifts. She hired a private investigator. The investigator followed Derek for 3 weeks. He took photos. Derek and Sarah meeting at restaurants. Derek and Sarah walking into hotels together. Derek and Sarah kissing in a parking lot. Jessica's voice was calm, but I could hear the steel underneath. They moved in together 3 days ago, she said. Downtown Portland. I have the address. I could not breathe. The world tilted. Everything Sarah had said about needing space, about needing time, it was all a lie. She did not need space from me. She needed space for him. Jessica continued. I am filing for divorce. I have a lawyer, but I want to do this right. I want them to face what they have done. Are you with me? I sat there in silence. My hands were shaking. I thought about Sarah lying to my face every single day. I thought about all the nights she came home late, smelling like perfume that was not hers, smiling at her phone. I thought about how stupid I had been. Then I thought about Jessica, this stranger who was offering me a lifeline. I called her back 5 minutes later. Tell me everything, I said. I am in. The next morning, I met Jessica at a coffee shop in downtown Portland. She was in her late 30s, dressed in a crisp blazer, her hair pulled back. She looked composed, but her eyes told a different story. She slid a manila envelope across the table. Inside were photographs. Sarah and Derek holding hands. Sarah and Derek laughing over wine. Sarah and Derek entering a hotel room. My stomach turned, but the worst part was not the photos. It was the text messages. Jessica had access to Derek's iPad, which synced with his phone. She showed me screenshots, messages between Derek and Sarah going back 4 months. 4 months. While Sarah was still living with me, sleeping in our bed, saying I love you before we went to sleep, she was texting him. One message from Sarah read, Baldwin is so clueless. He actually thinks I am working late. Derek replied, Jessica is the same. They deserve each other. I read that line 3 times. They deserve each other. Like we were jokes. Like our pain was something they laughed about over drinks. I felt rage building in my chest, hot and sharp. Jessica saw my face and nodded. I know, she said quietly. I felt the same way. She told me about her marriage. 15 years with Derek. 2 kids, both in college now. She had built a life with him. She had trusted him, and he threw it all away. I am not going to let him get away with this quietly, she said. And I do not think you should either. I agreed. We went to see a divorce attorney that afternoon. Her name was Susan Reeves, a sharp woman in her 50s with decades of experience handling infidelity cases. She reviewed the evidence, the photos, the messages, the credit card statements, the private investigator's report. This is solid, Susan said. Oregon is a no-fault divorce state, which means adultery does not directly affect the divorce itself. But this evidence will absolutely help with asset division and spousal support negotiations. She explained that because we had clear proof of the affairs, we could use it to our advantage. Derek and Sarah had used marital funds to support their relationship. Hotels, dinners, gifts. That was financial misconduct. Susan laid out a plan. We can serve them the divorce papers separately, or we can coordinate for maximum impact. Jessica and I looked at each other. Coordinate, I said. Susan nodded. Then here is what we will do. Over the next week, Susan prepared all the paperwork. Divorce filings. Asset inventories. Financial disclosures. Everything was meticulously documented. Jessica and I stayed in contact, updating each other daily. We were not friends exactly, but we understood each other. We were 2 people who had been betrayed by the people we loved most, and we were going to make sure Derek and Sarah knew we were not going to roll over. Marcus asked me how I was holding up. I told him everything. He whistled low. Man, that is cold. But I am glad you are not just sitting around feeling sorry for yourself. You are doing something about it. He was right. For the first time since Sarah left, I felt like I had control. I was not the victim anymore. I was taking my life back. 3 days before we planned to serve the papers, Jessica sent me another message. She had found more emails on Derek's iPad. These were from 2 months earlier when Sarah was still living with me. Sarah had written, "I cannot wait to leave him. Every day in that house feels like prison. You are the only one who truly understands me." Derek had replied, "Soon, babe. Once you are out, we will start fresh. Jessica will not fight it, she is too weak." I read those words and felt something inside me harden. 2 months ago, Sarah was still kissing me goodbye in the morning. She was still asking me about my day. She was still pretending everything was fine. And all the while, she was planning her escape. I remembered little things now. The way she flinched when I touched her. The way she avoided eye contact. The way she seemed relieved when I said I had to work late. It all made sense now. Friday night, the night before we were scheduled to confront them. I could not sleep. I sat in the living room staring at the wall thinking about the last 5 years. The trips we took. The plans we made. The dreams we shared. All of it felt like a lie now. I thought about tomorrow. I would see Sarah again. I would see her with him. Would she apologize? Would she even care? Or would she be cold, like she was when she walked out? I made a decision that night. I would not cry. I would not beg. I would not give her the satisfaction of seeing me broken. I would stand tall, look her in the eye, and show her that I was done. Jessica called me around 11 p.m. "You ready for tomorrow?" she asked. "More than ready," I said. "Let us do this." Saturday morning, I woke up at 6 a.m. I showered, shaved, put on a suit. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back. I had lost weight. My eyes were tired. But there was something else there too. Determination. I drove downtown, my heart pounding the entire way. I met Jessica in front of the apartment building where Sarah and Derek were living. It was a modern high-rise, all glass and steel. Expensive. They were living well, while we picked up the pieces of our shattered lives. Susan was already there with 2 assistants. She was all business. "We will knock, serve the papers, and leave. Keep it professional. Do not engage emotionally." I nodded. But I knew that was going to be hard. We walked into the lobby, took the elevator to the 8th floor. No one spoke. The air was thick with tension. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. We stepped out into a carpeted hallway. "Apartment 812. Jessica pointed at it. Susan walked up to the door and knocked. The door opened. Derek stood there, tall, mid-40s, wearing a t-shirt and shorts. He looked casual, relaxed, like he did not have a care in the world. Then, he saw Jessica. His face went pale. "Jessica. What are you doing here?" Jessica did not flinch. "Hello, Derek. We need to talk." Derek looked past her and saw me, Susan, and the assistants. His eyes widened. He knew. He knew exactly why we were there. "Derek, who is it?" Sarah's voice came from inside the apartment. She appeared behind him wearing a silk robe, her hair loose. She looked happy, comfortable, like she belonged there. Then she saw me. She froze. "Baldwin, why are you here?" Her voice was shaky, confused, like I was the one who had done something wrong. I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing. No love. No anger. Just cold clarity. "We are here to give you both something you deserve," I said. Susan stepped forward. Derek Hamilton and Sarah Collins. "I am attorney Susan Reeves. I represent Jessica Hamilton and Baldwin Collins. You are being served divorce papers." One of the assistants handed a thick envelope to Derek. The other handed one to Sarah. They both stood there staring at the envelopes like they were bombs. "Take them," Susan said. "This is official." Sarah's hands trembled as she took the envelope. "You cannot do this," she said, looking at me. "We need to talk first." I shook my head. "There is nothing to talk about. You left. You chose him. Now I am choosing myself. Derek tried to maintain composure. He turned to Jessica. Jess, let us not be hasty. We can work this out. Jessica laughed a bitter sound. Work what out, Derek? 15 years of marriage and you threw it away for her. I gave you every chance. I am done. Sarah started crying. Baldwin, please. I made a mistake. I did not mean for it to go this far. I felt a flicker of something, maybe pity, but then I remembered the text messages, the emails, the lies. You did not mean for it to go this far, I said. You planned this for months. You lied to my face every single day. You do not get to ask for forgiveness now. Derek stepped forward, trying to take control. This is private. You should leave. Susan cut him off. The papers have been served. Divorce proceedings will begin Monday. You will both receive formal notices from the court. Any communication should go through legal counsel. I pulled out my phone. Before we go, I want you to hear something, Sarah. I opened the screenshots Jessica had sent me. I read aloud. Baldwin is so clueless. He actually thinks I am working late. Sarah's face went white. Where did you get that? I kept reading. Every day in that house feels like prison. I looked up at her. Is that how you felt? Living with me was prison. She could not answer. She just stood there, tears streaming down her face. I turned to Derek. And you called your wife weak. The woman who stood by you for 15 years, raised your kids, built a life with you. Derek tried to defend himself. Those messages were taken out of context. Jessica stepped closer. Her voice shaking but firm. No context makes what you said okay, Derek. You disrespected me, our marriage, our family. And for what? A fling with a woman who disrespects her own husband. Sarah's tears turned to anger. Do not call what we have a fling. Derek and I love each other. I almost laughed. Love. You do not know what that word means, Sarah. Love is honesty. Trust. You gave me neither. Susan continued with her clinical precision. Mr. Collins has cooperated fully. We have documented all joint assets, accounts, property. The house you both owned is in Mr. Collins' name per the mortgage, but we will be seeking equitable division. She turned to Derek. Mrs. Hamilton has also documented financial infidelity, credit card charges, for hotels, dinners, gifts. That will factor into the settlement. Derek bristled. I have rights. I will not just hand over everything. Susan did not miss a beat. You have rights, yes. But adultery impacts settlement negotiations. We have evidence. Photos, messages, witness, accounts. If you want to fight this in court, we are prepared. But I would suggest you consult your own attorney and consider mediation. I added, the house we bought together, Sarah, I am keeping it. You walked out. You do not get to come back and take half of what we built when you destroyed it. Sarah protested. That is not fair. I stared at her. Fair. You want to talk about fair? Then something unexpected happened. Sarah dropped to her knees in front of me. She was sobbing, her hands reaching for mine. I am sorry. I am so sorry. I was confused. Derek made me think we had something real, but now I see I was wrong. Please, Baldwin. Give me another chance. Derek looked at her, shocked. What, Sarah, what are you saying? Sarah ignored him. She only looked at me. I looked down at her kneeling on the floor and felt nothing but cold detachment. Get up, Sarah. Do not embarrass yourself more than you already have. She did not move. I will do anything. I will cut all contact with Derek. We can go to counseling. Please. Jessica's voice was icy. She is only sorry because she got caught. Do not fall for it, Baldwin. Jessica was right. I knew she was right. I looked at Sarah one last time. We are done. Sign the papers. Move on with your life. I already have. I turned and walked out the door. Jessica followed. Susan and her assistants came after us. In the elevator going down, no one said anything. When we reached the lobby, Jessica let out a long breath. That was harder than I thought it would be. I nodded. But it was necessary. Susan said. You both handled that with remarkable composure. Now we move forward with the legal process. We walked out into the bright morning sunlight. I felt lighter. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe. Jessica stood beside me. Thank you for doing this with me. I could not have done it alone. I shook her hand. We helped each other. That is what people who have been wronged do. I got in my car and drove home. The house did not feel empty anymore. It felt like mine. A place where I could rebuild. A place where I could start over. 2 months later, the divorce was finalized. Sarah did not fight it. She signed the papers quickly, almost eagerly, like she wanted it over with as fast as possible. I kept the house, and the majority of our shared assets, because she was the one who left, and because the evidence of her infidelity was overwhelming. Jessica's divorce from Derek was also finalized around the same time. She got most of their assets too. Derek lost his job shortly after because the scandal affected his reputation at work. Turns out having an affair with a coworker, and the subsequent public fallout, was not great for a man in a leadership position. Sarah and Derek stayed together in that downtown apartment. But from what Marcus told me, things were not going well between them. Apparently, the fantasy of being together was a lot better than the reality. Funny how that works. Sarah tried to reach out to me a few times through mutual friends, but I never responded. There was nothing left to say. Jessica moved closer to her kids and started a new chapter of her life. She and I stayed in touch, texting every few weeks to check in. It was a strange friendship born out of shared pain, but it was real. We understood each other in a way most people could not. The first few weeks after the divorce were strange. I felt empty, like I was wandering through my own life without a purpose. But slowly, I started to find myself again. I joined a gym. I reconnected with old friends I had neglected during my marriage. Marcus dragged me to a rock climbing group that met on weekends. I met new people there, people who did not know anything about Sarah or the divorce. It was refreshing. Work got better too. I threw myself into projects and my focus returned. I got a promotion. I redecorated the house room by room, erasing the traces of Sarah and making the space mine. I painted the living room a deep blue. I bought new furniture. I hung art that I liked. Not what Sarah thought looked good. Every change felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. I realized something important during those months. I had been so dependent on Sarah for my happiness. I had built my entire emotional world around her, and when she left I felt like I had lost everything. But the truth was, I had lost her, not myself. I was still here. I was still capable. I was still worthy of love and respect. I just needed to give those things to myself first. I did not rush into dating. I was not ready. I needed time to heal, to understand who I was outside of that marriage. I needed to learn how to be happy alone before I could be happy with someone else. And that was okay. There was no timeline for healing, no rule that said I had to move on by a certain date. I was taking it one day at a time. I learned something about trust, too. I learned that trust is not something you give blindly. It is something you offer carefully to people who prove they deserve it. Sarah was not one of those people. She never was. And that was not my fault. I did not fail because I trusted her. She failed because she abused that trust. There is a difference. I also learned that betrayal says more about the person who betrays than the person who is betrayed. Sarah made a choice. Derek made a choice. They chose deception over honesty, selfishness over respect. They have to live with that, not me. I do not carry their guilt. I do not carry their shame. That is theirs to bear. I stopped being angry at Sarah. Anger takes energy. And I did not want to give her any more of mine. Instead, I felt something closer to pity. She gave up something real for something that was built on lies. She traded a partner who loved her for a man who helped her cheat on that partner. What kind of foundation is that? How long before Derek does the same thing to her that he did to Jessica? Maybe he already has. I do not know and I do not care. Jessica told me once, "The best revenge is living well." She was right. I was not interested in revenge anymore. I had already won. I had my dignity. I had my self-respect. I had my future. Sarah and Derek could have each other. 1 year after that Saturday morning, when we served the papers, I was sitting in my living room, looking out at the garden I had planted in the backyard. Tomatoes, peppers, herbs, things that grew, things that took time and care. I thought about Sarah sometimes, usually in passing. I wondered if she was happy. But the thought did not hurt anymore. Her happiness was not my responsibility. It never was. I had learned that sometimes people leave you not because you are not enough, but because they are not mature enough to appreciate what they have. They chase something shiny and new, not realizing that real love is built over time through challenges, through honesty. They mistake excitement for depth. And when the excitement fades, they are left with nothing. Sarah will figure that out eventually, if she has not already. Derek will too. But that is their journey, not mine. Mine is here, in this house, in this life, I am building for myself. A life based on truth, not lies. A life where I do not have to question whether the person I love is being honest with me. A life where I am enough, just as I am. I opened the window and let the morning sunlight stream in. It was a new day. And I was ready for it. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved because they betrayed your trust? How did you find the strength to move forward? Drop your answer in the comments. I would love to hear your story. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes we all need a reminder that we are stronger than we think. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you in some way. Take care of yourself. You deserve it.